Well, hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Doug Luban with BlackFog, and we'll get into introductions in a moment here, but we just want to thank our partner, American Laser Comsat, for hosting this webinar today, and we're going to try and make it short, sweet, to the point. It is an open forum, so please, submit questions, interact with us. Well, that's what we're here for, is to help you guys understand the reality of the problems that AI is posing upon everyone in the world that owns a business, and also as far as managed service providers like ComSat that are designed to help and protect you guys from being attacked and losing your data and suffering from a ransomware attack. So, BlackFog Vision, our product is called ADX Vision. ComSat has been a longtime partner of ours and absolutely a great partnership. And they are engaging with us in regards to the Vision product. The Vision product is a standalone product from our other tool, which is called ADX Protect. But the Vision is built specifically to address the problems that have been created by shadow and agentic AI. So next slide. So quick background on myself: for 26 years with the Michigan State Police, and I've been in cybersecurity for the last 18 years. I've been with BlackFog basically since it was a concept, and my role right now is client experience manager. So I provide support for our partners and our customers, and still work in the threat intel space as well. So Nolan, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Doug. My name is Nolan Rink, Sales Engineering Manager and Technical Expert of the BlackFog technology. Glad to be a part of the conversation today and show you what we are all about.
All right, thanks, Nolan. So some people would consider a slide like this a FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I think it's way beyond that. Unless somebody's living completely out of communication and under a rock somewhere up in the foothills of some mountain, they know what's going on. Everybody's heard about it. We are being inundated with it. And it's actually a very legitimate situation that's going on in the world right now. With the expansion and the advent of AI, LLM tools, basically invading every segment or portion of our lives. Along with that comes the typical things that the bad guys do. And we'll get into that in a couple of minutes here. But to give you an idea of the growth, Sam Altman, founder of one of the large LLMs, he's saying that this but this feature is going to actually double almost every 18 months. Some of the other leaders in the industry, everyone is saying that it's going to be involved in every aspect of pretty much everything and anything that you do. And we're seeing that on the back end, and we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But AI is taking over, and it's basically invoked, and it's involved in anything that you do online, whether it's recording what you're doing, whether it's helping you fill out forms, things like that. But the biggest problem with that is that the bad guys, like any other, time in life and time in our world, the bad guys will figure out a way to leverage that. I spent several years in an organized crime political corruption team, and it all dealt with the bad guys changing something that was meant to be good into something that was really, really bad. And that's exactly what we are experiencing now with AI. And what the bad guys are doing is they're, number one, using the AI tools to help build their attacks and defeat normal defensive solutions. And that's why BlackFog built ADX Vision. Our Vision product stays ahead of it. No one's going to get into a lot more technical end of it, but our Vision product is designed to stop the bad guys from exfiltrating your data with the use of AI tools. It'll also give you total visibility in what's going on in your environment. So next page. Some of the problems that today's AI realm presents all of us is, number one, data leaking and data theft. Pure and simple, if the bad guys can't get your data, then they have nothing of value. That's what the ADX Vision tool is built for. It's their goal to get your data, because to them, your data is worth every single penny that and effort they're putting into it, because they can sell your data on the dark web. When I say your data too, I'm also talking about your customers' data. And that's really what they want. So they want to get into your environment. Once they're in there, they're going to try and exfiltrate or steal your data. And quite often they are now using AI backed tools to do that. And that's again what BlackFog built ADX Vision for, was to protect that. So think of it this way when it's talking about your intellectual property and your agentic AI. AI tools, or LLMs, large language models, are designed to train on your data. So any input data that comes out of your customers or your employees, anything they use is going to be basically, I can't say permanently, but almost permanently kept by some of the AI models. And then it's also going to be used to, populate responses and things like that. But there's one thing that not a lot of people are talking about. Let's say one of your employees has a project and they want to go in and do a quote for a project that you've got going on. They put this information into an AI LLM model, and that LLM model then now has that data. So if a person were to ask it in the right manner, they could actually extract that information back out of the LLM. So, and that's something that, again, BlackFog, the ADX Vision tool, can help stop and prevent that, because we can prevent certain LLM models or allow certain LLM models. So I'm going to go next slide real quick. Actually, you know what?
Yep.
No, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah,
Right?
this is
One slide
where,
ahead.
yeah, I had some other
Yeah.
points of view. Just quickly back to the problem. Ultimately, where we're seeing a problem is that there are many different LLMs being published, released, and advanced on a daily, on a weekly basis very commonly. And AI is very powerful. It can be used to accomplish many tasks. But what we lack right now is the ability to gain visibility into how employees of the business are utilizing that AI, and the control to be able to block them. If we set a policy that says that we only want to use one large language model, like Copilot, if you're a Microsoft shop, or OpenAI, if you prefer ChatGPT, if you want to set that policy, enforcing that policy to only allow users to access the LLM of your choice is very difficult to do. These LLMs and these AI companies make it very difficult to prevent access to them, because they want as many people as possible using their LLM. Because the more people use their LLM, the more data they get, the more data they have, the more they can continue to advance and remain competitive. And once they have your data, because one of your employees uploaded a spreadsheet or put some data into that LLM, there is no way to get it back. And that LLM has it and can then use it to train, advance its model, and provide answers that are more accurate and more intelligent. A simple example, maybe somebody looks up a list of customers from XYZ company. If somebody in that organization has uploaded a spreadsheet that has some of their own customers, anybody has the ability to see that, because the LLM has that information, it knows that, and it can answer that. And the safety protocols and privacy protocols in these LLMs are very limited and very low. Privacy is not first and foremost their priority. And so having some control over how users engage with LLMs is increasingly important, and will continue to be as AI becomes more ubiquitous and more widely adopted. This is what has led BlackFog to grow our product offering alongside of our traditional cybersecurity defenses against ransomware and data exfiltration. Moving into the AI space, we now have ADX Vision. And what ADX Vision does is it's two things primarily. The first piece is visibility into what LLMs are being used, using the same mechanism and the same technology we always have. At the device level, we're able to measure the quantity of data that's being transferred to an LLM. So if you have an LLM that you like, that you want people to be using, we'll use Gemini as an example. We won't block people from going to Gemini, but we will show you how frequently people are using Gemini, how much data people are uploading to Gemini, and when, so you can get a picture of the trends about your environment, about the authorized LLMs that you want people to use. The second component of it is a blocking capability, very similar to how we've already been blocking ransomware, already been blocking dark web traffic, data exfiltration. we can block access to unauthorized LLMs. So if somebody wants to use DeepSeek as an example, I don't know why somebody would choose they would want to use that, but if they did, historically and without BlackFog, it's very difficult to manage stopping people from accessing AIs you don't want them to use. With BlackFog, you can set a policy to block DeepSeek, and no matter what browser people are using, no matter what methods they try to use on their device to get to that LLM, BlackFog will block it every time. So this enables you to craft the appropriate AI governance policy for your environment based on how people are using it and based on your desires for how you want people to engage with LLMs. And then you can enforce that policy through the blocking mechanism. And this is all done on the device. And so this is a little bit of a scary diagram. There's a lot of detail in here, but really what this is meant to show is where BlackFog is positioned alongside other technologies. And so we focus on outbound traffic versus inbound. Many security products are focused on inbound. They do a good job of what they do, but very little focus on outbound, which is where our strength lies. And specifically, as it pertains to AI use, the other solutions out there focused on AI typically don't reside on the device where the user is. They reside on the network or within the firewall. And where that can get tricky is if you have remote workers, you have people who may not be connected to a corporate network, they may be able to get around those protections. And so putting BlackFog on the device where the user is the most effective way of ensuring that the protection is always active, that there's nothing anybody can do to mistakenly be missing out on the protection and the data that we're able to gather. And so really, this is just meant to show that BlackFog is a unique solution. It's differentiated. It supplements existing protections that you may have in your security stack, both when it comes to the cybersecurity protection against ransomware and exfiltration, as well as controlling and gaining visibility into AI utilization. That's where BlackFog comes in. And so what I want to do now is actually show this in action in our interface. So if I switch screens over here, we can see.
Got it.
This is our dashboard. So this is an example of with BlackFog running on the device, and it runs as an application on every laptop, desktop, mobile device, server, every endpoint. It measures the quantity of usage and then shows you. So if I'm the administrator who's protecting the environment and understanding what's going on, these are details that traditionally are lost, that you can't gain information into, which is what AIs and LLMs are people using most often? How much data are we exchanging with them? And which users are engaging with them most commonly? So this enables me to make some important decisions. First of all, which LLMs do I choose to trust and which LLMs do I want to block? I can decide that either through researching their privacy policies, governance, and choosing, or depending on the organization, I may choose whichever ones my users like. I'm going to allow those ones for this environment. 86% are using OpenAI. So I may not want to block OpenAI, but I may want to commit to it and block the rest and allow people to go into OpenAI to limit the spread of potentially sensitive data across LLMs and control how users are engaging with that. Likewise, I can see who is using it most commonly. So if I have a user who's overusing AI and uploading large quantities of data to an AI, even if it's an AI I like and that I approve, this enables me to gain the visibility that that's happening. And I can have a conversation with that user and maybe do some AI training, maybe understand better, why are you uploading so much data to this LLM? And these are, again, details that traditionally, the only way you would understand this is happening is if you're walking past that computer screen at the right time and you happen to notice somebody doing something while they're doing it, which the likelihood of that happening is very low. The other piece of this is blocking. So this is all showing LLM usage that is allowed. And again, AI is an excellent tool. We want people to use AI. AI benefits productivity. It benefits accurate results. There's many good things about using AI. And if you choose not to use it, you're likely going to fall behind to your competitors who do choose to use it. So we want to have an appropriate usage policy for AI so that people can use it and benefit from it, but that it's not the Wild West we're not out of control, and there's not so many different LLMs being used that aren't being governed or controlled. And so that brings us into the blocking section, where for the LLMs that are blocked, I can see all of the details about those blockings. Anytime somebody tries to access an LLM that's not authorized, they are unable to. We block that connection at the device level and then report on it so that people can see, or if I'm the administrator, I can see when it was blocked, how it was blocked, who tried to access what. But I have the peace of mind knowing that this connection did not occur. It only tried to occur. It was blocked by BlackFog. And now I gain the understanding of what's trying to happen. And again, this enables me to have an important conversation with an employee about AI usage policies and training, that you tried accessing an LLM that we don't allow in this business. This is the one we want you to use. And sometimes these are accessed on purpose by an end user trying to get to the LLM, but it may happen by accident as well. AI has become embedded in so many different corners of the internet while you're doing email, while you're on social media, while you're doing whichever task you're doing on your computer. There may be AI engines running in the background trying to gather data, and BlackFog blocks this as well. If there's an unauthorized LLM that's embedded in a website, the website will still load, but the AI component won't. So you remain protected no matter what website, no matter what web browser, no matter what device. As long as it has BlackFog, you're protected and you're gaining this visibility. And that's ultimately what ADX Vision is all about, is security through visibility of what's happening and how AI is being used, and then the control and enabling you with the controls to be able to block the LLMs that you need to block. And so I stopped share, but I'm going to quickly share again because there's just one more slide in here that I want to cover. And this is what we support. So we are on Windows, Mac OS, and then we do have a Linux agent on the way. And we support the 10 frontier LLMs, which are listed here. Now, there are many LLMs out there, and we do continue to grow this list, but most AI applications rely on the frontier models to function. And so by covering these main ones, we're effectively covering 95 to 99% of any AI activity happening in the organization. We're measuring it and we're blocking it if you choose to block it.
Yep.
And the mechanism for doing that is on the device. It's an application that's installed and runs in the background. The end user never notices it, never sees it, but it runs as a service on that device, and it monitors anything trying to leave that system. And if it's going to an AI destination, whether that's the domain name, IP address, or an application that is assigned to that LLM, we measure it, we evaluate it. If it's allowed, we'll measure the quantity of data. If it's blocked, we drop that traffic and we stop it at the device level. So whether you're in the office, at a coffee shop, on your own home Wi-Fi, all of that protection resides on the device and follows you. And ultimately, this enables you to have that visibility and control that you need as AI grows, as people become more comfortable with AI, as your employees in your business adopt AI and start to use it more actively. Ultimately, the timing of this makes sense to not, it solves a lot of problems we have today, but it especially solves many problems that are going to come in the coming months and years as they pertain to AI. If you don't have a mechanism to see how your employees are engaging with AI, or the ability to enforce policies surrounding AI, you're likely going to face the problem that you have data that's internal to the company spreading across all of these different LLMs, and you can no longer keep track of who has what. And once these LLMs have that data, they have it forever. There's no way to get it back. And you're opening yourself up to competitors or other businesses or threat actors and attackers actually going to these LLMs and looking up as much information about you as they can. And if you've put your information into these LLMs, now they can get it. And so that's why it's so important to have controls in place surrounding this.
Yep, and that's another great, thanks, Nolan, great job. Just the last few comments that Nolan made as far as, figuring out what you are going to do as a business. That's where, again, you lean on your partnership with the team from ComSat, and they're going to help by using our tool to give them the visibility. Um, I, I'm a retired cop. I love stories. Let me share a quick story with you. This story is based here in the U.S. Very large company. They had invested in one particular AI model, and they engaged with our tool and to give them the visibility. And the results were astounding because out of the 10 LLMs, the tool that they had spent literally tens of thousands of dollars on, OpenAI was the one they invested in, was found to be the least used tool in their entire environment because they spent the first few weeks just getting a grasp on what was going on in their environment. And to the point that, I mean, it was almost 10 times the use of the OpenAI model that was being, recorded by some of the other models. It was just astounding. So again, that kind of highlights the power of getting the visibility and the continued visibility. So um, I'll share another quick observation and commentary. Nolan made a comment in there as far as, AI and the bad guys, the attackers using it. Uh, we have actually seen now, and this has been such a fast-paced environment, it's been crazy. But the threat intelligence team here at BlackFog meets on a weekly basis. And a few months ago, we started seeing reports of AI LLM activity on devices that weren't even being used. They were signed on and they were connected, but nobody was actually at the desk doing anything. And there was AI LLM activity being recorded. We also had even in a more aggressive stance, we've had some of our very first confirmed AI invoked attacks well over a year ago, probably a year and 2 months ago. I think it was February of last year that we saw our very first confirmed ones. But it is a very real threat, and this gives you BlackFog ADX Vision gives you a tremendous leg up on the ability to lessen and reduce your risk and threat exposure. So, uh, Nolan, you want to go ahead and cover the last slide, and then we will open
Yeah,
for Q&A.
I was gonna actually, yeah, open it up to Q&A at this point.
Okay.
Let's see from
Um,
everything.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question.
Yes.
So the question says, pilot uses multi LLM tools. How would Vision control this? And the second part is the data that's stored, or would the data be stored by Copilot or by the LLM?
So for the first question,
Mhm.
we often have environments that use multiple LLMs. And generally, the way that this rolls out is we start out where we're not blocking any LLMs, but we're measuring all of them.
Yep.
And that will give a sense. First of all, we're not going to interrupt any end user activities or any automations or any business processes that rely on those LLMs. So we'll be non-invasive at the beginning. We'll paint the picture of how BlackFog or how LLMs are being used. BlackFog will show you all of that data and visualize it in a way that's sensible. And from there, you can make an informed decision if there's any that you want to block or you want to stop anybody from accessing and you only want them to use the approved ones. You block the unapproved ones. You can leave as many of them approved as you want and any that you rely on. Everyone will still have access to those, but you'll continue to measure the usage so you can understand the trends, which ones are being used most often, who's using them the most often across LLMs. So you can see it not just for one, but for all of them. For that second question, where the data is stored, I can say we don't store the content of any of the data. So, and I guess I would want to clarify what that question means if it's being stored by Copilot or by the LLM, because Copilot is one of the LLMs that we support. But any of the usage data, that's all stored within BlackFog itself. But the content of any spreadsheet or any content being uploaded to an LLM, we don't see or store any of that.
No, we're completely data agnostic. I will touch on, and if whoever asked that wants to provide a little more clarity, that'd be great. But I'll touch on another thing too. As Nolan said several times, but you have the ability to control which AI LLM models are used or which ones you want to block. That can get very granular, and it's typical of an environment, a business environment, where we will set with the company ends up setting it. But they'll set different rules for different groups. Let's say your marketing team, they're going to want to use a lot of different LLM models. So their rules are going to be a lot less lax, but it can be, and ComSat team would help you build the groups and then apply the different rules, for the different use cases. Um, I mean, we've got some places that they've got groups that they're not allowing any LLM use at all whatsoever in certain groups, but yet other groups, again, they'll allow a lot of them. So, and you can get real granular. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that the tool has the ability to get very granular with that. So, any other questions, Natalie?
No, nothing else.
Okay. All right. Well, we can wait for, we're actually doing really good on the time as well. We had hoped to make this short, sweet, to the point, and I actually think we've
does-
done a good job on that.
Does
Actually,
Chris have a question?
Yeah, can I ask a real quick question, Doug and
Yeah.
Nolan?
Certainly.
Yes.
So one of our vendors had a seminar last week, which some of our guys attended to. And obviously, they're pushing Copilot for an LLM for their AI tool that they're recommending to use. And in researching Copilot, I had submitted that other question. In researching Copilot, Copilot uses Anthropic and OpenAI as their LLM engines.
Yes.
So if let's say Anthropic is blocked and somebody uses Copilot, will it default to go through OpenAI if OpenAI is an accepted LLM?
So it may not default switch to that. What will happen is you go to Copilot, but Anthropic is blocked. Within Copilot, you have options for which LLM you want to use. And if you try to use Anthropic, it's going to behave in an unexpected manner where you'll put in a prompt, but it won't be able to make that engagement to Anthropic, and it will give you errors.
Okay.
And so you'll switch. So we can't control the content of the interface of Copilot to
And
automatically
I
switch
understood
it.
that. I understood that. The second part of that question was, so is Copilot an LLM?
So it's
Because
that's actually a very important and a good question.
Well,
Right?
because my question was with the LLMs and are working in the past before, certain LLMs store the data for a certain amount of time, depending on whether you have a paid version, non-paid version, whatever. Is the data, so if I do a query on, John Smith's home phone number, whatever, that data gets stored in the LLM depending on what LLM it is and whether I have a paid version or an unpaid version, it stays for X amount of period of time.
Right.
If I do that search through Copilot, does Copilot save that search data, or does the LLM, Anthropic, or OpenAI save that data?
So it is dependent on the license you have, but the answer is both. If you go through
okay.
Copilot sees it, and then it goes to Anthropic, and Anthropic sees it. And both companies are heavily incentivized to keep as much data as they can.
Sure.
And there's no reason why either of them would see it and then delete it, unless with the license you have and the agreement you have through them that they don't retain your data for longer than 7 days or 30 days, or
Okay.
whatever it happens to be. But
Okay,
you
that
can
was my
assume it's
question.
both. Yes,
Thank you.
Okay.
absolutely.
Excellent. Natalie, any other questions come in through the queue? Are we good?
We're
Chris,
good.
Chris, any follow-up questions
Right.
from the ComSat team? And again, thank you for hosting us. We really appreciate it.
Oh,
Absolutely.
no problem at all. I mean, we're 100% BlackFog cheerleaders. So no, nothing else has come through so far. Like I said, that was my main thing, only because we had a vendor summit last week,
Okay.
and they were pushing Copilot, and so I just wasn't sure how will Vision handle it if there's multiple LLM threads within one program, and then about the data, whether Copilot and Anthropic, let's say, store it, or whether Copilot's a wash through and it's stored in Anthropic.
Right.
But
Yep. Great question too, by the way. So, all right. Well, in closing, to the people that will watch this as a recorded version, if you do have any questions as a result of the video here today in the presentation, let your ComSat team know, and they will get you the answer. With that, we thank you all for attending, and have a great rest of your day.
So much.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thanks,
Bye.
Doug. Thanks, Dylan.
Bye.
Bye.